Welcome to another episode of Big Ego Media. We've got a special guest, goes by the name of Latoya. How are you today?
Skroop. I'm great today. I feel amazing. How are you?
Not too bad. Um, it's 30 degrees outside today in the UK, and you've come, I guess, in a pious manner. Is it your heart? Are you trying to cover your face? Talk us through the outfit.
It's for religious and spiritual reasons. So that's all I'm gonna say. And my favorite color is black. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. I mean, let's go straight into it then. So your name's Latoya.
So my name's Latoya. I'm South London born and raised.
So let's go to your childhood. You said South London, born and raised. Where's your parents from?
Originally,
Yeah,
so both of my parents are originally from Ghana.
Ghana. Okay.
Yeah, big up all my Ghanaians. But
So from Ghanaian descent, did you live in a household with both your parents? Any other siblings?
no, so I was raised in a single parent household. Amongst five, there was five of us. So I have four other siblings, and I'm in the middle.
So is it brothers, sisters?
I have three brothers and one sister. So two older brothers, one younger brother, and one younger sister.
Okay, I see. I see.
So yeah, big up to my family. I love all of you.
So where was dad?
Dad was somewhere. He was in and out of the picture at first, and then he completely, pretty much like, just went and started his own family elsewhere.
Okay, so you got other half siblings that you're aware
Yeah,
of,
I've got three half siblings on my dad's side.
and you and your dad's relationship was a cool.
Um, well, what am I to say? Like, I do feel like I feel a level of rejection because even though things didn't work out with my mum and my dad, he took it upon himself not to continue trying to pursue or have a relationship or be an active father. Um, yeah, to me.
Okay, I hear that. And how do you think that kind of affected your childhood?
Um, I'm not sure. Obviously, I didn't grow up with that with a dad.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But do you think that?
But I
Hi,
think
hi.
that I think it affected my childhood in the sense that obviously, my mum was a single mum of five children. He didn't even contribute financially, so I've witnessed my mum struggle, and I've my mum has been mum and dad, but she also did an incredible job. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I feel like, maybe she would have struggled less if daddy was present.
And in regards to your relationship with your mum, how's that been?
Yeah. Next question.
Not to talk about.
um,
Okay.
yeah, next question.
Okay. So kind of what was growing up like in the household with your siblings?
Okay,
How
so
was it?
my mum was lit. My mum was a lit mum. That she was extremely admirable. She was very active, high energy. She sacrificed a lot. Like I said, as much as I say that I witnessed her struggle, however, my mum was lit. She would take on other people's kids. She would save up, and she would, take us on holidays and things like that. So we did get to see the world. So my mum was lit. There were some dark times, definitely, where I witnessed my mum struggle. And I do feel like in my adult life, now that I've gone through my own struggles, I can appreciate and see how that's affected me. But so there were definitely some dark times, but overall, my mum was lit. My mum was lit. She just, she wasn't a victim. She took on, all right, cool. So the dads don't want to be there, but she really went in. So yeah.
Okay. So what was your ambition growing up? What did you want to be as a child?
First I wanted to be a pilot.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a pilot. And then I
Any
think
reason in particular?
I don't know. I was fascinated with the fact that you can fly a plane.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be a pilot at first. And then I wanted to be a hairdresser because my mum came from like a hairdressing background and stuff, and I was fascinated. Like always used to spend hours playing with my Barbie's hair and stuff.
Yeah.
And as a child, I had really long, like natural hair as well.
Yeah.
So, there was an art form to it. So, yeah, I wanted to be a hairdresser after that.
So did you ever kind of going back to just being from Ghana descent? Did you kind of embrace your culture, or was you very much westernized?
I feel like it's a mix of both, which is dope. Like I feel as though growing up, obviously my mum would cook the Ghanaian dishes, which up until this day, that's my favorite food.
Yeah.
I love my Ghanaian dishes, okra soup and banku. Um, but I feel like it's also a mix of both. My mum's very open-minded, very cool. So in no sense is she like a typical auntie, if
Yeah.
so what. So I think she kind of it was like the best of both worlds combined.
Did she grow up here, or she
Yeah,
came
she
home?
did. So she
Okay.
was born in the UK.
Okay.
She did her schooling in Ghana,
Okay.
and then she came back here as a teenager.
Okay. I
So
see.
yeah,
So let's talk about school again. How was you kind of academically? Was you top set? Did you struggle a bit? Needed support? Mediocre? What was
I
it?
was top set. I was very smart, academically bright.
Mhm.
Even in year 11 in secondary school,
Yeah.
I was head prefect, head girl.
Okay.
Quite popular. By the time I got to year 10 and 11, I was very popular.
What school did you go to?
John Paul II school.
And what area is that in?
It's in Southfield slash like Wimbledon in Southwest London.
Okay.
So yeah.
So is that the area you grew up in, Wimbledon?
Yeah, like I was born in Roehampton, which is in Southwest London as well.
Yeah.
But then early on in my childhood, I moved to Southfield slash Wimbledon. It's like on the cusp of like Wandsworth,
Yeah.
Southfield slash Wimbledon. So yeah.
And how was you in terms of behavior wise? Was you always just good at school? There's no
Yeah,
issues.
very confident. I was very confident in school, bubbly and stuff like that. However, I would have my occasional temper tantrums and occasional like little outbursts, but overall, very confident. Like I said, by the time I got to year 10 and 11 in school, I was very popular. And I like to think I was quite well respected as well.
Okay. And when you got a little bit older at that age, was it still same ambitions? I want to be a pilot, or did you have sort of other aspirations now?
Um, no, like I said, the
Oh
hairdressing,
yeah, sorry, the hairdressing.
yeah, the hairdressing was that stayed being one of my aspirations. And fashion design as well. I kind of thought like I'll do something to do with fashion. So yeah, that was it really.
So did you have boyfriends at the time at school? Was you quite popular with the boys, or was it more so you were still building your confidence?
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty. My natural hair was very long and stuff, so boys did fancy me. Like I said, like when I feel like I blossomed in year 10 and 11. But I didn't necessarily have boyfriends or nothing. I was quite like, focused, and that wasn't really my on the agenda at the time. So yeah.
So you didn't have a boyfriend or nothing like that, no?
I didn't have a boyfriend until I was 19. That was when I had my first like boyfriend, my first relationship. That's when I broke my virginity as well.
So at 19, so I mean, was it just because you was focused on your school? Because a lot of times people break their virginity a little bit older, or so a little bit younger. Was it
Yeah.
something about you wanting to wait? What was it that you want? Why did you
Yeah,
want to
I
wait?
always told myself, because I went to a mixed school,
Yeah.
and by the time, like, we got some of the girls are blossoming early. You've got your breast, you've got your batty or whatever. And I was the type of girl, the guys knew they couldn't slap my ass. And if they did, they're getting a slap back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I had older brothers as well. So I really held myself in a high regard. I respected myself. And I told my own self that I want to lose my virginity to my boyfriend,
Yeah.
like to a boyfriend. I'd say I'm not going to do it until I'm in love.
Yeah.
So
I
type
mean, you
shit.
said something about because of your kind of older siblings and so on, it made you kind of respect yourself a little bit more in terms of just male presence. Is that right?
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. It really did.
So obviously, did you go uni afterwards?
I didn't go uni. So after school, like I said, I still had this whole thing. I wanted to pursue hairdressing. As academically bright as I was,
Yeah.
I wanted to pursue hairdressing. So that's exactly what I did. I went and got my MVQ level 1 and level 2 in hairdressing, hair
Yeah.
and beauty in college. So yeah.
Okay. So at that point, you were your first boyfriend. How long was you guys together for?
It was up until it was the third. I think it was the third year, because I actually ended up doing 4 years of college.
Yeah.
So after the hair and beauty, I was like, I felt like, my style, I was experimenting with my style. It's not like you're in school anymore where you have to wear school uniform. And I just felt like I've got more to give. I want to get into fashion.
Yeah.
So I actually did a BTech art and design diploma, which I got a distinction in
Yeah.
because I had to do that in order to get onto the fashion course.
Yeah.
And so the fourth year of college was when I had my boyfriend, and I met him. He actually went into the same secondary school as me, and we met again in college.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I had my boyfriend, and I feel like the fact that we had gone to the same school together, it kind of gave us something to, and then yeah, it just kind of went from there.
And how long did that relationship lasted?
Not long. That was
I thought
that
it'd be
was
like a beautiful story, like we weekend.
no, I broke
We
it off.
kindled
It
that
got
from
boring.
school days. It got boring.
It
Why
got
so?
boring.
Too
6 months.
too much of a
I would
nice guy.
say, pardon?
Too much of a nice guy.
Possibly
What is it
timid.
about that sometimes that nice guys lose?
I wouldn't say nice guy, but he wasn't assertive
Yeah.
and just at the time because I moved out quite early,
Yeah.
so I had my own place and stuff, and he would come round to my place.
Yeah.
And he told me, and I went and met his mum, and his mum said, she took a liking to me. She said, you're welcome anytime. She had a background in fashion, which I was studying at the time.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking, like, where's the balance? Like, you always seem to want to come round to my place. Can't we go to yours sometimes? I'm
Yeah.
always in my house. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you? Your own mum even met me and told me that. So yeah, it just kind of it ran its course, and I decided to break it off because why am I compromising?
I mean, you said something there. You said that you moved that early. How old are you when you moved that home?
I was 17 when I moved out.
You were 17.
Yeah.
Why did you move out? Issues at home?
No, it was like yeah. I moved out when I was 17. That's where I'm gonna.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how was it kind of living by yourself, independent at 17? Now you got bills.
Lonely. It was lonely. Like it. I can definitely see how it had an effect on my mental health.
Yeah.
Because obviously at that time I was still quite a sensible girl, very focused. So even when I moved out, I was either in college, working, at my mum's house or at home. Like I would occasionally maybe meet up with a friend here and there, but I was like focused. But I felt like I was living the life of like a flipping 50-year-old.
Yeah.
And I felt depressed. I felt isolated. So I kind of became a bit withdrawn within myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not who the real like Latoya is.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I hear you. So after that relationship, was there any more relationships? Or?
Yeah, there was. It wasn't so obviously that relationship I broke my virginity with that particular guy.
Yeah.
Then after that for 2 years, I didn't have another relationship.
So for a whole 2 years after that? So not again until you're 21?
So nothing, and then excuse me, and then I did. And then I did, which was that one was kind of like on and off for a year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then were you just sort of dating casually? Was you seeing different people after that, or?
After that, I was kind of I cooled off for a couple months, and then was the introduction of the hoe years. That's when the hoe years started.
Explain the whole years for people. I mean, it's self-explanatory, but explain
Yeah,
that.
the hoe years was when I became promiscuous, when I was seeking happiness in sex, and when I was just freeing up the pum pum type shit. So yeah,
Outside, basically.
I was outside.
Do you have a recollection of how many men I mean, you don't have to test the numbers, but was it just like random people, or was it links? How did it kind of work? Did you just meet someone on a day? How was it?
I don't know. It was a mix, like, but it was usually like face to face. It was a mix. It was a mix.
To a mixture of meeting people different places and different scenarios.
Yeah,
basically.
it was a mix, but I was definitely outside. I was trying to also. I recognized that I was trying to find happiness in the form of sex as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Did you ever have a conversation with your parents about this at the time?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
So moving on, then, what kind of jobs was you working at? Did you get into any kind of like just working for the sake of working? What was you doing?
Yeah, definitely. Like Obviously, I did some retail jobs, hairdressing when I was doing the hairdressing.
Yeah.
I also did luxury retail jobs, and I did um, just some retail. Like I did quite a lot of retail, and
Yeah.
then eventually, when I got sick of doing the retail, and I wanted to get more into fashion, and I'd left like the fashion course, I decided to sign on.
Yeah.
Which, if no one knows what that means, like go on job seekers allowance.
Mhm.
And while I was doing that, I did like some internships with people in the fashion industry, and I started like networking
Yeah.
and like getting myself out there that way.
I mean, we can see the fashion today. Like,
So
yeah. So you're a mother, right?
yes, I am.
When did that come about? How old was you at the time?
I was 26 when I gave birth to my daughter.
Okay.
Yeah, just about to turn 27. So yeah,
Was you happy at the time when you was
no.
pregnant?
At the time that I found out that I was pregnant, actually, I want to try to say this without crying, but it was shortly after my granddad passed away.
Okay.
So I almost felt like it was like a gift from him.
Okay.
And I was also caring for my granddad prior to him passing, like leading up to him passing away.
Yeah.
It was a really dark time. Even in the midst of it, I tried to like take my life and everything.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it was a really dark, depressing time, and um, I was kind of like, yeah, it was a lot. So I feel like my daughter was a savior in a
Mm.
sense. Like it was like a gift. It was
Yeah.
a gift for me,
Yeah.
even though I didn't necessarily want to have a baby. I wasn't ready. I didn't expect it. But that's how life goes.
Was the child's father someone that you had known, you've been dating?
So we was kind of casually dating. To say that we was even in a relationship is a stretch. We were seeing each other. I do feel like sexually I opened up to him quite early on.
Yeah.
Um, Reflecting back now, I do feel like I was a little bit vulnerable. However, as an adult, as two adults, we both chose to have unprotected sex with each other.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ended up getting pregnant.
And well, back to this day, does he still play his part?
No, absolutely not. Like he obviously was quite shocked. He shockingly tried to use his religious background of being a Muslim as a reason as to why I should have an abortion, which doesn't make sense. But he just said that, it's going to ruin my life, it's going to spoil the good thing that we've just started. And he just tried to convince me to have an abortion. Um, and I actually considered it, which at the time, like, I regretted considering it because I was pro life at the time.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, I came to my senses, and yeah, I chose to stick on with the pregnancy. And he said, "Peace." He just had the whole thing of like, "Oh, you've trapped me," all this, that, and the other. And he was like, "Yeah, like, good luck with the rest of your life."
So from that day on, before the child was even born, he just kept it moving.
Yeah, he never saw me once, because at the time he was back and forth from London to France.
Oh.
So when I did call him to tell him that I was pregnant, well, after I'd taken so many tests just to be sure, um, and after he realized that he couldn't convince me to have an abortion, he was like, "Yeah, safe. Like, good luck with the rest of your life. I'm out." Like, you
So,
try.
so he moved back to France.
Possibly, yeah.
So you don't even know who he is, where he is
I
right
don't
now.
know where he is. I did think I saw him on a bus in Streatham one time, but I can't be sure that it was actually him. So I don't know where he is. And he has to live with this conscience.
Has your daughter ever asked questions?
She has kind of like to my mum, who
Yeah.
she lives with now. But nothing. She's a very happy child. So at the moment, I don't feel like she's feeling at a loss. Like she does have like good family members in the form of men in her life that,
Yeah.
even she said that, "Oh, you're my uncle, daddy."
Mm.
So, but I mean, in the future, like I always told myself, because when I was pregnant, I said to myself, I felt bad because I did cuss him after when I realized, and I felt bad, and I said to myself, you know what, I will explain it to her in a childlike manner,
Yeah.
and when she gets to like an age where she's able to understand, all I can do is give her the truth,
Yeah.
give her the man's picture and his address that I know of, that I found online, and then that's it. That's all I can do.
I mean, you said something earlier. I don't know if you want to touch on it
Yeah,
again, because earlier on when I asked you about how's your relationship with your mum, you said move on. The next question. You just said now that your daughter lives with your mum.
yeah.
Is that a decision that was made by yourself,
No,
by your mum?
that's a decision that came by of me going to prison and just some political circumstances. So, yeah,
Okay, let's talk about that. Prison.
yeah.
How many times have you been in prison?
9 times in total.
You've been to prison 9 times.
Yeah.
Let's start with the very first time.
Okay.
Why did you go to prison?
That very first time was actually just for like the night. And when I say that I was in jail for the night, I'm not talking police cells in the police
Yeah.
station. I'm talking in actual prison.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I had stayed there, stayed in the police cells for too long.
Mm.
I think that's what it was. I'd exceeded the 72 hours and they wanted to keep me.
Yeah.
And they had to literally let me go to Bronzefield for the night.
Okay.
So that was that. That was just a quick cut through. I didn't even.
What happened though? What was the situation?
That one was something very like I'd had a falling out with my neighbor, and he had called the police on me.
Okay. Or did you attack him or something?
I didn't attack him. No,
Threats?
I verbally, no threats, but I verbally, obviously, I cussed him,
Yeah.
and I'd thrown like some fruits out of my window into his garden. So we had like a falling out, and he's taken it upon himself to call the police. So yeah.
So what was the second time?
The second time was do you mean like when or?
Yeah. Yes. When and
It was that later on that year. That was for. I spent 10 weeks. 10 weeks in jail. That yeah.
what for? Why?
I was charged with racially aggravated assault and public order. But
Okay.
the reason why I went to prison that time is because at the time I had been evicted from my accommodation, so I was staying at my mum's. So when I went to court and I couldn't provide them with an address,
Yeah.
so they was just like, yeah, chuck her in the can, bro, because we don't trust her that she's gonna come back
Okay.
if we bail her.
I mean, when you, the first time you went to prison, how was it? Was you scared? Was it something that you was like, oh my god,
Do you
what's
mean
this?
like when I spent the night there?
No, no. When you
This
actually
time
gone out for 10 weeks, yeah.
it was unexpected.
Yeah.
It was unexpected. I wasn't necessarily happy, but I just kind of accepted like the situation for what it was.
Was you scared of actually going into the place? Was you
I
think, oh
wasn't
my god?
scared. I wasn't scared.
And of course, then that, at that point, you had custody of your daughter before you went in.
No, I was. I hadn't. My daughter wasn't born at this
I
stage.
was born. Okay, so you
Yeah,
was prison before even that. Okay, cool.
yeah,
So what about this, the point that where you went to prison for the time that then they had to take your daughter?
yeah.
What happened around then? What was the conversation like?
So that time, so obviously I had my daughter. I gave birth to my daughter. I was a dedicated single mom for 2 years, um, and that was great. And then it did come to a point where deep down inside me, I did feel like I was struggling to cope, only because it was just me and my daughter day in, day out,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just getting a lot, like quite overwhelming. However, I just carried on. And then one day, um, me and my daughter was actually dancing in the living room, and I don't know what made me look out of the window. And I looked out of the window and I noticed somebody. I ended up witnessing somebody commit suicide.
Oh wow.
They jumped off a crane, like a crane on a building
Yeah.
site. And the timing of me looking out, I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I looked out the window, I witnessed that, and they've obviously landed on the concrete and all their head is like smashed
Wow.
and stuff. And I'm just like, bro, this is crazy. But cut a long story short, like I carried on watching even until the body was moved and everything. But it triggered me, and it triggered things that I had buried,
Yeah.
including like struggling to cope as a single mom with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I found myself that, I was still breastfeeding at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself, that night when my daughter started crying, usually I would go and just lie down and breastfeed her calmly. But instead, I went and started shouting and screaming at her.
Yeah.
And she was screaming, and we were both in the house screaming. And I was thinking, okay, this isn't good.
Yeah.
So I laid down and breastfed her. Then the next morning, I can't remember what happened, and she started crying, and I started screaming at her again.
Yeah.
And then she started screaming, and we were both just screaming down the flat. And I was like, okay, yeah, this isn't good. And I started to lose control of my emotions. And because of things that I'd gone through in the past, like I'd even been sectioned in the past before having my daughter, I tried to take my life in the past. Like, so I knew when I'm starting to lose control. And I did not, the last thing I wanted was for my 2-year-old child to witness me in that state and to bear the brunt of it. She didn't deserve that. So, what I actually chose to do at the time, because I was so isolated, I didn't have no support, like I called the police and I was just like, bro, like I'm a single mum. I don't have no one. I've witnessed someone take their life the day before, and I'm losing control and I'm taking out my emotions on my daughter. Like I need help. So the police ended up coming, and they did actually try to talk to me, talk like some sense into me, if you will. And then I made a suicidal kind of comment that alarmed them. I said that, do I just like hug my daughter? And we both jump out of the window. And then the police officer switched. And cut a long story short, he called my daughter, went in one car. It was so sad. It was so sad. We were both like crying. But she went in, they took her in one police car. This was like the start of COVID. So they took her in one police car and they took me in another police car. She went into emergency care and I went into to be emergency observation to see if I'm like okay. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep. I mean, I know we've been speaking about things before, but to hear that for the first time, and
Yeah.
a lot of women actually go through that, especially because people may poke fun at single mums, not realizing that a lot of them are doing it by themselves, and the mental
Yeah.
health that comes with that, not being able to even live your own life. Yes, you made a decision to have a child, and you made a decision to have unprotected sex, but then to just be there every day with your child and no support, and some, and I'll say good on you for actually seeking help, because some parents wouldn't seek help, and before you know it, you hear about these stories. Mother does this to child, and RIP. So well done for you to actually went to
Thank
help.
you. But even talking about it now, it's not easy. And like I said, the reason why I was even kind of breaking down the story is because sadly, this is kind of what led up to me going to prison.
Yeah.
And it also highlights how retarded the system can be sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Why did you go to prison and again?
so basically, I got assessed. I'm gonna try and
Yeah.
like keep it brief, but I got assessed. They didn't think I was mentally unstable enough to be hospitalized. So I came home and I was informed by social services that my daughter is going to be kept in emergency care because of they're concerned about my lack of support
Yeah.
and my mental well-being. So they just want to do some assessments. I said, cool. In my head, I thought maybe I've got a week of freedom.
Yeah.
I can paint the house that we had just moved in like 2 months prior. I can just get my head together and then everything will be fine. I'll get my daughter back. Sadly, that wasn't the case. I was on the phone to somebody from an organization, which I won't state their name, and I was expressing how I felt at the time. And I said to them that I felt like I could kill her dad. Like, I was like, oh, I could kill him because if he was around, I could have just dropped her to him for 2 days and I could have gone on a walk and cleared my head. And they've then reported me to the police
Oh, wow.
for what I said that. And when the police came, me stupidly, I don't know how, I feel like me idiotically, when they came a few hours later, and they said, oh, we've had reports that you were saying you wanted to kill someone. And at first I didn't remember, but the minute I remembered like a fool, I was like, yeah, if you don't take me away, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And they arrested me.
And beforehand, you only seen it as a passing message of anger.
Yeah,
Like,
I was expressing how I was
yeah.
feeling at the time, but there was no plan. There was no, I don't even know who the guy is. There's no plan. There's no,
So there's not even no victim really.
no, he had no knowledge up until this day. He has no knowledge unless he sees this video that I was sitting there on the phone saying to someone.
I think even if you see this video, no one's gonna know who you are. To be fair, so to make fun of that, but yeah. So
But yeah,
so you went to jail because of that then.
I went to jail. I ended up spending 5 months.
Wow.
And this was during the peak of COVID. So we was on 23-hour bang up. And I
Wow.
got charged with two counts of threats to kill. One for saying it on the phone, and another for saying it in front of the feds when they came. During that 5 months, guess how many times I went back and forth to court? This was via video link.
Yeah.
8 times, as if it was some M charge.
Wow.
They was really trying to investigate, and it's like, what is there to investigate?
Or maybe they think, where is the father? For all they know,
Bro, like, it's like, what is there to investigate? I was saying how I felt. So,
So
I
by that
guess
time,
maybe I had a duty. What is it?
duty solicitor.
Yeah, so maybe that played a part.
So after that, then so while you're in prison, they've made a decision to give your child to your mum.
No. So while I was in prison, like I said, they took my daughter into emergency care
Yeah.
while she remained there. She remained in the care of that foster carer. That whole time. But I also we would have contact over the phone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. And then once you was released, what happened?
Once I was released, obviously the social services did all the relevant assessments and they came to the conclusion to return my daughter to my care because they didn't have any concerns to do with my parenting.
Yeah.
They had done everything, every assessment, and it was evident that actually I was a good mum.
Yeah.
The only concern that they did kind of have that was my lack of support.
Yeah.
And sometimes my mental health, but it wasn't that concerning to the point where they weren't. She was due to be returned to my care.
Yeah.
Now this is where things got mad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you want to go into it, but
No,
so
let's talk. Let's talk.
she was due to be returned to my care,
Yeah.
and but it was like a transition period. Like it wasn't just the day that I come out of prison, she's gonna come back. So I was now seeing her at a contact center with the foster carer. And I'm gonna try and like talk about this without getting emotional. But so everything was going well, and so one week I was on my way to actually go to go and have the session with my daughter, the contact session, and I got an extremely let me just cut to the chase. So basically, one week, I got there early. I arrived early to have the session with the contact session with my daughter. So I was sitting in the room waiting, and I heard her come in with the foster carer. And like I heard the woman saying to my daughter, who was 2 at the time, like, "Oh, you're sexy. You're a sexy little girl. You're sexy. You're sexy." And then my daughter repeated it back, like, "I'm sexy." And then she said, "You are sexy." And she said it so loud, like her voice is projecting. And bearing in mind there was staff around, nobody bat an eyelid. And in my head, I told myself like I'm insane. Like I told myself, you didn't hear right. She's saying something else. However, during the session with my daughter, she continued to repeat it, stroking her legs, telling me, "Mummy, I'm sexy." And I said, "Okay, cool. I'm going to have a word with this woman because this ain't sitting right with me." Long story short, I did have a word with a woman via WhatsApp messages, and she didn't seem to. She laughed at first, and she said, "Oh gosh, yes, your daughter's always fishing for compliments." She's 2 years old, bearing in mind, and I said, "Yeah, but just tell her that she's pretty. She's a princess. She looks nice. Like there's so many other things that you could say." And she was like, "Yeah, especially if she's saying it out of context like that. Sorry, when is it appropriate for a 2-year-old to describe themselves? You don't have sex appeal. You're not sexy. You're a baby still." So anyway, so that concerned me because she didn't really seem to be phased by it. And as a mother, in my head, I started thinking, what else? Because the lady had a 9-year-old son at the time. She also had his dad around. So I started, naturally my mind started thinking like, what else is happening or what could be happening that is inappropriate, but they deem as normal. So I then reported to the social worker who completely understood my concerns, and he validated, and and I was crying and I was upset. And then there was a moment where the social worker spoke to his manager, and his whole energy changed, and he said that, yeah, there's nothing we can do about it. And I was crying and screaming again because in my
So they thought like you maybe made it up or something.
no, but they just didn't see it as like that deep. And I feel as though because it was coming up towards Christmas, they just wasn't really trying to work. They was just trying to make things simple. So what happened was The next time that I had a session with her, I arrived early once again. I had barely slept because I wasn't sleeping. My spirit was very troubled.
Mhm.
And I said to the staff that were there, I said, look, when this woman comes in with my child,
Mhm.
when this woman comes in with my child, right, please keep an eye because she said X, Y, and Z before and nobody batted an eyelid. Once I said that, they said, oh, you know, it's brushed off again like it was nothing. It's not a problem. If you've got a problem, speak to the social worker. I started screaming and crying again as if someone had died.
Yeah.
And cut a long story short, when the woman, I was already angered. When the woman walked in, I just punched her up.
Yeah.
I attacked her. I
Oh
saw
wow.
red. I saw red and I attacked her, which obviously now looking back was not the right thing to do. But naturally, I just lost it.
Oh wow.
However, that didn't, it landed me back in prison again. And it meant that they started adoption proceedings for my daughter because they said that I don't know. They said that when difficult situations come up,
Yeah. You don't know how to
bearing in
handle it.
mind that I reported prior to punching her up, I sent all the relevant emails to whoever I needed to send to. I was
Yeah.
trying to communicate, raise the alarm. That was my first reaction. Then when I realized that nobody cared or whatever, you know, I guess I took matters into my own hands. And while it wasn't the right thing to do, for them to say that, look, we're putting your daughter up for adoption now because this is the way that you react to difficult problems. I said, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But anyway, cut a long story short, my mum, after a while, being estranged from my mum, I wrote to her and she got involved. And now my daughter's in the legal care of my mum.
Okay.
So, yeah,
So, but you still got access to your daughter, and
boy. Like, I have access and I even have. I don't want to talk about it too much, but it's not how I want it to be right now.
okay.
But hopefully it will be in future.
Okay.
Because my mum picks and chooses when she feels like letting me see my child. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. I hear you. It's a tough one.
yeah,
Um. So let's change your narrative a little bit. So escorting.
yeah,
How did that come about? Because if I look at it right, you were someone that you said that you had sex very, I guess, in this day and age, late
quite
at
late.
19,
Yeah,
and after that, you didn't have sex again until you were 21. You
yeah.
had your stage of promiscuity, but then obviously you had your child.
And
So
even after I had my child, I did not have sex for 4.5 years. From the minute that I found out I was pregnant up until December 2021, I did not, being the sexual person that I am, I did not have sex with no man for 4.5 years.
yeah. So how did this come about?
So the
Escorting.
escorting came about out of desperation. I was broke at the time. I felt as though I had exhausted all options. I went through a stage where I was in and out of prison. Obviously my daughter wasn't in my care. And I had even times when I was out of prison, I got jobs and stuff like that. But I just found that I couldn't work a normal job no more.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, I couldn't. So it was kind of like, bro, like, how do I make money? Like, I need to make a living for myself. So it came out of desperation. It was almost like a last resort type thing. Because, like I said, I'd been offered before, I'd been approached before, like by people to do. I'd always declined. So yeah, that's how the escorting came about.
So I mean, did you just go straight into it, like read that way, or did you like was it only fans first, or was it how did it work?
I did OnlyFans first.
Okay, how did that go? Because not to make a joke, but people that say like OnlyFans girls, it's like the struggling rapper who's trying to sell his mixtape. I got a new mixtape. So when you first start as an OnlyFans girl, you're not making any money at all, really.
Yeah, nah, you can't. OnlyFans, especially if you don't already have a platform, you're not already a well known person. And it's very oversaturated nowadays. So you really have to graft with the OnlyFans thing, which I did, but I just lacked consistency. It was a struggle. So yeah, it was
So
just
what
very.
would you be doing on OnlyFans? It was just like nude videos, nude pictures.
No, it wasn't even. I think played a part because people wanted to see me get fucked. Like people wanted to see me get fucked. People wanted to see my pussy, and at the time I was still somewhat playing it safe. I was being provocative and sensual, but not necessarily doing the full out X-rated thing.
Yeah.
So I think that also like played a part. I was inconsistent, so my subscribers would fluctuate.
What would you kind of charge monthly?
It fluctuated, but just it started off as a free subscription thing, and then
Okay.
I would charge for like more, like I would do the DMs,
Okay.
and then I think it was like $13, and then I went to 25. I even tried 50. I tried trial and error, different things.
And how did you feel at the time when you was doing it? It was like, oh, I'm enjoying this, or what the hell am I doing?
Nah, it kind of took the fun out of making like. I mean, I did enjoy like some of it to an extent, but I do feel like it almost took the fun out of, because I felt like, oh, I have to consistently do this, and
Mm.
I like things to come across as quite natural on camera, like the energy transcends. I don't want nothing to be forced.
So when did it transform from OnlyFans to full on escorting?
Last year, August.
Last year, August.
Yeah,
So we've not even been a year.
yeah, it's not even been a year.
So you're newly you was a newly escort then
I
basically.
was a new escort, and bearing in mind, like, bear bear this in mind, but bearing in mind, yeah, I went into the game naive as hell, like.
So what did you do? How did you acquire your first client? And did you like look on a website? Did you just walk the streets? How does it work?
Hell no, I didn't walk no streets. Maybe I should have, but no, I didn't walk no streets. I made a profile on an escort site. And once I made the profile, I actually got scouted by a guy that already had his own agency, and I went to go and work with him in Birmingham.
Yeah,
And I felt as though it was a good idea. It was a good start, because then I could learn. I'd
yeah.
be safe. He offered, a sense of security. There was security. I could learn, and it was just safe, and it was a good way for me to start in this game, because I didn't really know any other girls that were actively like doing it.
So what? So that he'll put you up in a room and then like he'll bring you the clients basically.
Basically, he took over like my profile,
Yeah.
and I took my own attire, and yeah, he rented out like a nice apartment or whatever, and yeah, that was it.
So what would be the normal charge?
I can't remember. I think the charge for like half an hour. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember. But it was like, no, the charge for 1 hour was 230.
Two
From,
thirty.
yeah, 230
And
from what I remember.
I mean the first time it's happened, how did you feel afterwards?
Normal. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, all right, cool. That's a
You're like,
piece
oh,
of
here's
piss.
my bands. Yeah.
I was like, that's a piece of piss. Like, it was cool. The client was like the perfect type of client that you would want. It was just bish, bash, bosh. And I was like, all right, calm.
So on a good night, how many people would you sleep with, for example?
Um, well, the thing with the guy didn't last that long.
Yeah.
But on a good night, like the best night that I've had, I think I slept with, or the best 24 hours,
Yeah.
should I say, that I had, I would say all in all nine.
Nine
It
people.
was nine people, yeah.
And how much you make?
I made over 2K.
Oh, 2K.
Yeah.
Would you say for yourself you thought that was worth it at the time?
At the time, yeah, I felt like, at the time, I was like, I got what I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And the type of clients would it be? Who would it be? Sort of older men, young men, smelly men? I don't know because
Nah, there was no smelliness. Um, I didn't really deal with anyone too old, to be honest. And a lot of my clientele, I seem to attract a lot of ethnic minorities.
yeah.
So Asian and black,
Okay.
ethnic minorities, which I liked that. And
Was it is it people that you would date if you saw them? Oh, I would date him if that makes sense.
some of them,
Yeah.
some of them, but not all of them. But there was no one repulsive. Obviously, I offered the option, any accommodation that I would host in, whether that be a hotel or an apartment. I would offer the option, or I'd ask somebody to shower
Yeah.
before, so that they're clean. I would state that beforehand, that I'm big on hygiene. But there was no. I would personally refuse to sleep with someone if they, were deemed one, like overweight, and two, um unhygienic.
I mean, if someone came, did you have any of those when someone's coming, you said, oh, "Yeah, this ain't happening."
No, I didn't.
So would you ask like for a photo beforehand, or just be like kinder surprised that whatever's in the box is in the box, basically?
No, I would ask. So I would ask for their age, ethnicity, and body type.
Yeah.
they would see what I look like.
Mhm.
Some people, there was a few that would send a photo of themselves.
Yeah.
But also another thing with me is that like I'm very very big on, if I picked up some sort of weird vibe from when we're just like texting,
Yeah.
trying to pattern the thing, then they would get blocked. They wouldn't even make it past.
Yeah.
So I think I feel like I was very diligent and it worked well for me. It
Okay.
did.
So you started it last year, August,
Yeah.
and I mean, have you? Is it just been in the UK, or have you gone other countries as
Nah,
well?
it's been in the UK. It's been mainly in London. I've
Yeah.
gone to other cities and stuff.
Yeah.
Birmingham was a good one, but yeah,
Have
it's
you met other girls in your journey as well?
kind of, yeah. I did. So basically, like I said, I've gone into this naive.
Yeah.
I've gone into this knowing one girl that kind of does it, but her style of doing it, and she's more on the whole finessing, man.
Yeah.
Finessing, and I morally don't stand for that.
Mhm.
I don't want nothing to come back to me. I'm trying to provide for myself and my child.
Yeah.
So I didn't know, I couldn't learn anything of her. So I did actually, I used to look through other girls' profiles and I did reach out to two girls
Yeah.
and they were lovely and we spoke on the phone, but sadly we never met.
Yeah. What
Um,
was the point for you to reach out, just to get a bit of experience, or to get make a friendship group?
just no, like networking with other escorts. Obviously, I wanted to talk to other experienced escorts because, like I said, for me, I'm going to this naive, so I wanted to get some tips. You know, if I've been through certain things, I'll be like, okay, how do you do this and stuff like that. So yeah, just networking and
Okay.
just also getting like some advice and stuff like that.
What's been sort of the worst part of doing that?
Getting threatened and stalked.
I mean, how did that happen?
Um, yeah, some guy. So I'd seen a client once, and he took a liking to me. Um, but I kind of picked up on that, just some questionable sort of mannerisms.
Yeah.
So I made a decision not to see him again.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because at first I was gonna, but something in my spirit was telling me just nah, man, like it's not. So I communicated it to him, and afterwards he didn't really want to take no for an answer, and he was threatening me and all of that. And with the line of work that you're doing, like people can find you, like,
Mm.
do you know what I mean? He could have got someone else to call up to pose, so there was that, but it didn't stop me doing it at the time. And then also getting stalked by another weirdo.
Yeah.
That those were probably like the worst experiences that I went through.
So where's your mindset now? Like, what's going on with the escorting now?
I haven't done escorting, so I am no longer a sex worker. So I am not an escort anymore. It's been coming up to 2 months that I've stopped.
What was the conscious decision behind that?
My my health, my spiritual health, my mental health, and also the fact that my line went dead.
Okay.
My line went completely dead, and I also didn't even want to see no one. Like I kind of was happy when the line went dead to the point where when there was clients after a while, I'll be there for hours, like 5 hours, and the line would be, or you'd get a few time wasters, but then the line would be dead. And then when you do get a serious person, by that time I don't even want to see you.
So how does it work? So basically, you kind of need to spend money to make money. So you have to pay for a hotel and just park up that area for the day, and just kind of let people know you're there.
That's how I was doing my thing.
Okay.
That's how I was running my thing. Like I would be in a certain area, not always the same area. I would get a really nice accommodation. Everything was set good. And yeah, let people, let it be known on my profiles and that I'm in this particular area, this one offering X, Y, and Z.
And in regard to your family,
Mm.
is it something that they're aware of? Is it something that they've looked at you?
No, they're not aware of it. One of my siblings is aware that I was doing it. That particular sibling didn't. There was no judgment.
Yeah.
There was advice. There was obviously, I would say, a level of concern, like safety wise and stuff, but there was no judgment. Other than that, yeah, my family don't know that I was doing it.
So what about, like, I guess then, in regards to your daughter, did you ever wonder, consider how she may feel later on?
No, because um you do what you have to do to hustle and get up. And this partly why I'm doing certain things and taking certain risks to break the cycle so that when she grows up, she would never. Because I can't lie, at the time, I felt like I had to do it. I had exhausted all options. Trust me, I had. And I felt like, bro, like this is it. And
But
in my
you couldn't a cheeky Sainsbury's job.
no, but like I said, I couldn't. I didn't feel like I was exhausted. I came out of prison and I got two jobs. One was a cleaning job.
Yeah,
I was going wearing a full face of make like cleaning people's toilets. So I'm not too big for my boots. I humbled myself, and I was also doing that alongside a retail job
yeah.
in Doc Martens, just hustling. But then in the end, I felt I left the jobs and I felt something in my spirit. I couldn't work a normal job anymore.
Yeah,
And also, one thing to note that I forgot to say is that prior to like going ham with the escorting, I did actually apply to 200 jobs.
yeah.
But I feel like because there had been kind of like a gap, such a big gap in between
Working, yeah,
proper working, and when I did have the cleaning job and the retail job, it wasn't for a long time.
yeah.
So that was kind of
Why
questionable.
you just lie on your CV? I don't think there's anyone that tells the truth on their CV. To be fair.
Bro, like it was what it was. But in the end, like I said, deep down, I know I can't work. I've been there, done that. So if I was coming from a place whereby I never had experience of normal jobs, then by all means, Sainsbury's, even Poundland.
So
But I didn't.
what's the future for you now then? Like what
The
is it?
future is bright, but the future for me now is just taking over the world. The future is my name's Latoya, and I have a lot to share that I believe will help people open up people's eyes, entertain people. They're gonna judge me, but I don't. I'm ready. Listen, I want all the smoke.
So are you gonna be taking off your mask, your cover?
To be continued. Who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Those who know what I look like, they know what I look like, and those who want to know what I look like will, they might find out. They might not. But for now, I'm in my mask era.
Is there anything you'd like to add before we end the interview? Something about you that you want people to know?
Absolutely. So I would like to say to anyone, particularly those that have been through hardships, been through the system, um, stand in your truth and own it. What you've been through does not define who you are as a person. Like, we're resilient, we're fucking soldiers out here. And to those that dabble in drug dealing and prostitution, you lot are fucking hustlers. And even that doesn't own you. I mean, it doesn't define you. Um, and I'm Latoya. This is not the first or the last that you see of me because I have a lot, like I said, to share and to offer the world. So watch this space, darling.
And that there, guys, was another Big Ego Media interview, and we're out.